You will not believe how life sometimes brings people back when you least expect it. Sometimes it feels like destiny has its own plan, and no matter how much you try to move on, the past has a way of knocking at your door again. My name is Sarah. I'm 25 years old, and today I want to tell you a story that changed everything for me. It is not just a love story, it is a story about pain, waiting, faith, and the moment when someone you thought was gone forever suddenly comes back into your life. I grew up in a small town near the ocean. My childhood was simple: waves crashing on the shore, seagulls in the sky, and evenings filled with laughter at the beach. When I was 18, I met someone who became my entire world. His name was Ethan. He was not like other boys. He had deep eyes that carried secrets, a voice that could calm storms, and a smile that made me believe in magic. We met at a bookstore on a rainy day. I was holding a book in my hands when he gently asked, "Is it good?" I looked up, surprised, and for the first time in my life, my heart skipped a beat. That small conversation turned into long talks. Long talks turned into friendship, and before I realized it, friendship had grown into love. Ethan and I were inseparable. We walked by the ocean together, shared our dreams under the stars, and promised each other forever. I believed him when he said he would never leave me. But life is not always fair. One evening, just before my 20th birthday, he told me he had to leave town. He had family problems, responsibilities he could not explain in detail, and all he said was, "Please wait for me, Sarah. I will come back." My heart broke that day. I tried to understand, but the silence that followed was unbearable. Days turned into months, months turned into years, and there was no sign of Ethan. No letters, no calls, no messages. It was as if he had disappeared from the face of the earth. I tried to move on. I focused on my studies, worked at a cafe, made new friends. But every night before I went to bed, I still thought of him. I still remembered his promises, his laugh, and the way he used to hold my hand like it was the safest place in the world. People around me told me to forget him. "He's never coming back," they said. But my heart refused to believe it. Somewhere deep inside, I still held onto hope even when logic told me to let go. And then something happened that I will never forget. It was a rainy afternoon, almost 5 years after he had left. I was working late at the cafe, cleaning tables, when I heard the doorbell ring. I turned around, and there he was, Ethan, standing right in front of me, soaked from the rain, his eyes locked on mine just like the first day we met. My hands froze. My heart raced. I couldn't breathe for a moment because it felt like a dream. He whispered my name, Sarah. And in that single word, I felt every memory, every emotion, every unanswered question rush back to me. But it was not simple. He had been gone for 5 long years. He had left me without explanation, without goodbye, without even a single message. My heart was torn between love and anger. I wanted to run into his arms, but I also wanted to scream at him. I asked the only question that had haunted me all these years. "Why, Ethan? Why did you leave?" His eyes filled with tears as he said, "Because I had no choice. My father was sick, my family was falling apart, and I had to take responsibility. I wanted to tell you, but I was scared that you would wait and suffer. I thought leaving you without words would help you move on. But every single day, I missed you, Sarah." Hearing his words broke me all over again. Part of me wanted to hate him, but another part still loved him with every piece of my heart. We sat together that night, talking for hours. He told me about the struggles he had faced, the pain of losing his father, the heavy responsibilities that kept him away. And then he said the words I had been waiting for. "I promised you I would come back." And I did. Tears rolled down my face because I realized that no matter how much time had passed, the bond between us was still alive. But life was not so easy. Forgiveness is not something that comes instantly. I told him about my loneliness, about the nights I cried myself to sleep, about the emptiness of waiting without answers. He listened silently, his head down, his hand shaking. And when I finished, he said softly, "I can't erase your pain, Sarah, but if you let me, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you." Those words touched me deeper than anything before. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and I tried to rebuild what we had lost. We walked by the ocean again, we talked for hours, but this time everything felt more fragile, more real. I was not the same girl I used to be. I had scars, I had doubts, I had grown stronger, and he was not the same boy either. He carried the weight of his past, but also a maturity that made me see him in a new light. Slowly, trust began to return. Slowly, love began to heal the wounds. And one evening, as the sun set over the ocean, he held my hand once more and whispered, "Sarah, I came back not just to keep my promise, but to remind you that true love never dies." That moment, I knew my waiting had not been in vain. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes life separates us. But if it is meant to be, love finds its way back. So, yes, this is my story. The story of how I lost him once, how I cried for years, and how one rainy afternoon he came back. And if you are listening to me, maybe with your own broken heart, wondering if love ever returns, let me tell you, sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes back when you least expect it. And when it does, you realize that love is not about never leaving, but about always finding your way home.